Hello and welcome to Adam Street in London. We're here with David Pybus. You might not know the name, but hopefully he'll fill us in with who you are and why you've brought along these selections of perfumes. So David, for those of us who don't know who you are or what you do, can you briefly explain?
Okay, well again, welcome to the world of smell. I'm known as an aromancer or an alchemist. I deal with the sense of smell.
Yeah.
In main, perfumes, but anything to do with the sense of smell. If you like, what I feel I do is try to get this frenetic world of ours to stop and smell the coffee or the bread or the beautiful smell of earth after rainfall, that sort of thing. So for the past 100 years, all the key inventions have been about vision and hearing. You know, radio, TV, Sony Walkman. The sense of smell is our oldest sense, and it's having a renaissance, and hopefully people like me are helping.
Great, okay, and of course you shot to the public eye when you did a little known program called Dragon's Den.
Yes, I did indeed.
So you can tell us about that.
Background to that was that I read something like 10 years ago now that they'd found a complete bag of perfumes in the debris field of Titanic. A guy with a very unfortunate name of Adolf was going to America to make his fame and fortune, and he survived in lifeboat number 3, but his bag with all his samples went down. Well, I used to work for the largest fragrance company on the planet, £2 billion company, but we don't make for the general public. We create fragrances, everything you see in your supermarket trolley with a smell or a taste, likely to be us or one of 5 major global companies. So I thought at the time, wouldn't it be great, just as an exercise, an investigative exercise if you like, to recreate this perfume. See, women ask me, where should I keep my perfume? And I always say in the cold, in the dark. Now I didn't mean 2.5 miles down in the Atlantic for 95 years, but it rather proves the point if we could bring this bag back to the UK, look at the samples and recreate one. And when you go on Dragon's Den, they ask you 2 key questions. Do you own this? And that took about an hour to explain, because you don't own the formula, but you own the concept.
Okay.
And are you going to give up your day job? Because if you say no, the normal response is, well, you want me to give you 100 grand for a hobby? And I could actually say I actually did give it up last week. I did, if you like, the Indiana Jones step across the chasm, you know, where I had faith.
Absolutely,
and the bridge built.
yeah.
It really was like that. You know, I was giving up a good job.
Right.
But I started my own consultancy business to try and bring in some bread and butter, so I could have something to live off while I generated this whole idea. And on Dragon's Den, luckily Peter Jones and Theo Pafidis backed me for 40 grand each for a 20% share each of the business. I'd offered it for 20% total, but I took the view that 60% of something was better than 100% of nothing, and I was still king of the heap because I owned the business. So that's how it started.
Yeah, and so how has that progressed then? I mean, how has that helped develop your business, and how has that?
It's been difficult. Again, a lot of people will say the best time to launch anything is in a recession, that timing isn't important, but I did really launch in September 2008, first of all at John Lewis's, and of course it was a major recession. Now, unlike somebody like Levi, who's got a £1 bottle of reggae sauce that anybody can buy, my stuff's 30, 40, £50 a bottle, and I'm not Chanel, and I'm not Dior, and I'm not Beyonce, and I'm not Britney Spears.
No.
And unfortunately the industry is that way. It's designer fragrances, celebrity fragrances. Who's this guy from Dragon's Den with historic fragrances? So that's quite, because you know, at the end of the day, perhaps foolishly, I put all the money into the production of the perfumes, the design of the bottle, everything, and left little if nothing for PR and promotion. I was hoping, perhaps naively, that being on Dragon's Den would create a momentum of interest that would get me the PR and promotion. That hasn't really surfaced, and so it has been a bit of a struggle. I'm ticking along, but I'm not, you know, no great shakes yet.
So are you on a bit of a learning curve at the moment then?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, the biggest advice for people, for me, apart from anything else, is watch the cash flow. If you haven't got the cash going into the business, you can't generate new products, you can't move forward, and you don't get the momentum. And at the end of the day, I sell through National Geographic, I sell through British Museum. Now that might sound strange, but they have a 5 million footfall, and the people there can spell Tutankhamun, and they've heard of Cleopatra, so it's the audience. Cruise ships, where I've got the well-heeled people, and I give talks on cruise ships. So, and then my own website. But again, if I only get 30, 40 hits a day on my website, I could give the product away, and still it's not going to happen. So that's been my difficulty. I've tried numbers of things. I've tried small trade shows, adverts in specialist magazines for museums, that sort of thing. I did start, as I mentioned, with John Lewis, but part of the problem there is you're faced with hundreds of bottles, well-named people who can put lots of money into it. And for me, it's expensive to get into that dance, and I feel that I've had to box clever and, if you like, sell perfume away from the traditional routes. So hence down the track of museum, National Geographic, obviously, because of the historical interest.
What's your favourite smell of here? I'm intrigued to know what your favourite ever smell is here.
Well, let me give you...
I can see grapefruit and orange and all sorts of stuff.
Let me give you a very basic man smell.
Man smell?
This is a man smell.
I'm concerned.
And again, like you like cut grass, that can be quite unusual. A lot of women like the smell of cut grass, but for men it's a negative thing because it means go out and cut the bloody lawn. So it means work. But this is a man smell, and again, women might not like this, but again, in the right fragrance, it works well.
Okay.
See what you think.
I'll tell you what that smells like. For me, is it's like a Mexican food.
Mexican food? Okay, well again, you've got to trust your own instincts. I don't know which restaurant you're using.
Well, I don't know.
It's birch tar.
Birch tar?
It's the smell of tarmac. It's the smell of railway sleepers.
I think I know someone who would like this. Yeah.
I play golf. Now, where you drive off is normally built of huge railway sleepers. So again, that tar smell in the summer, it's very appealing to fellas, not so appealing to women.
That's very interesting.
So this is one end of the masculine spectrum, and it's birch tar. It's from a tree.
Really? This is just straight from a tree?
Straight from a tree, essential oil from a tree.
Wow, that's incredible. Have you ever had the smell? I was having a conversation earlier on about, we were talking about different fragrances and what have you, and someone said they like the smell of tar or tarmac, but only just after it's been rained on. Hot tarmac after. Is that a smell you can bottle? And
just about, yes, you can do that. The hardest ones are the ones people love: coffee, fresh bread, rainfall with a rainbow. You know, what's happening there is the earth, the rain is hitting the rocks that have got essential oils on them from flowers and things.
Oh, I see.
And the kinetic energy is releasing those essential oils. So it's this marvellous mix of earth smell. Now, if you could bottle that, certainly if I could bottle that, then Scented Town would be on a real one.